Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to answer the question why you should run a Kaspa node. Now, last week I made a video explaining to you guys how to run a Kaspa node, and I got a lot of the questions of people asking me if there are any rewards to run a node. And the answer to this is no, Kaspa does not offer any rewards to run a node. So the question remains, why would people want to run it if there's no rewards? Well, if we're looking at something like Bitcoin has a lot of nodes. It has over 18,000 public nodes, and it's very similar to Kaspa in that it does not offer any rewards to run a node. So there are other incentives that make people want to run a node, and these same incentives that exist in Bitcoin are pretty much the same in Kaspa. So the first thing is to increase decentralization. So if rewards were given for running nodes, more people would try to maximize their earnings. This could lead to one person or entity running many nodes, which makes it easier to attack the network. So allowing Kaspa to have a voluntary system, being completely voluntary and having easy to run nodes leads to more people being able to contribute to the network, therefore increasing its decentralization. If we're looking at Kaspa's public nodes today, there's currently about 400 of them, and as you can see, they're spread across the whole entire world. This is really good for decentralization and onboarding newcomers so that newcomers are not reliant on one singular node to be able to connect to their network, and instead they're reliant on multiple nodes across the whole world to connect to the network. Remember, nodes contain the rules of the network. So running them ensures that you're able to increase the security of the network. And if we're comparing to running a node to something like Solana, you can see that the requirements to run a node are much more difficult than the requirements to run a node on Kaspa. For Solana, you need at least 12 core CPU, you need at least 256 gigabytes of RAM, and at least 1 terabyte of storage. If we look at my node on Kaspa here, I'm currently running it with 4 CPU cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's currently only taking up about 14 gigabytes of storage. And this is really good to allow for anyone to run a node, and we need to make sure it is as easy as possible because we want to make sure that the Kaspa network is as decentralized and robust as possible. The second reason of why you should run a node is to increase privacy and security. So if you learn how to run a public node and connect something like Caspium or Casware to your own node, then you're no longer having to be reliant on public nodes. When you use public nodes, you basically expose your IP address, the addresses of your Kaspa, and also your transaction history to these third-party nodes. But when you're running your own node, you can make sure that you can secure your own transactions with your own node. And you also can be responsible for invalid transactions to never go through on the network. So this is how you can increase your privacy and security when running your own node. And I'm also going to be hopefully making a video soon on how to connect your own node to Caspium or Casware. The third reason is to practice having self-sovereignty of your Kaspa. I was just talking about connecting your wallets to your own node, and when you connect your wallet to your own node, this allows you to have full control in confirming your own transactions. So that means you're seriously not reliant on anyone else to make sure your transactions are going through on the network. You don't have to worry about someone censoring your transactions at all because you're the one responsible for making sure they get broadcasted to the network. The fourth reason is to have voting power in the event of a hard fork. Running your own node allows you to vote on which rules you want to accept. And this is because within a Kaspa node, every node contains the rules of the network that must be followed. And so, for example, this is the code within the Kaspa network that has the max supply of 29 billion Kaspa. If someone was to create a new rule and put it to be 30 billion, you would need to download a brand new software version of the node so that you can enact this new rule. And most people would not agree on increasing the supply of Kaspa because then this would just basically dilute your holdings. So you are not forced to accept this new rule, and this is how you can have voting power. By running your own node, you basically enforce the rules that you agree with on the network. The last reason of why you should run your own node does pertain mainly with people who mine Kaspa, but there are some really good miner incentives. So connecting your miner to your own node removes paying any fees for finding blocks. Now, currently the blocks per second is not that high, so it is highly encouraged to be using a pool if you're not really that big of a miner like myself. I only have 2 miners, so I do use a pool and I do not mine to my own node because I'll probably never find a block on my own. But if you do have a high enough hash rate, you should practice mining to your own node so that you can avoid any fees that you have to pay to pools, and you can also have a higher chance in finding rewards because it is also a connection based kind of thing with your internet. And if you're running your own node connected to an Ethernet cable to your own router, then you could probably have a higher chance of finding the next block because you are competing with everyone else who is either solo mining or is a pool operator. So those are the reasons on why you should be running a Kaspa node. I know they don't have any kind of like direct rewards, but when you are running a node, you are supporting the network and ensuring that it stays secure, decentralized. You can increase your privacy, you can have self-sovereignty. And also, if you're a miner, you can better yourself in earning more rewards depending on how much hash rate you have. And doing all of those things help keep the Kaspa network very strong and robust and continually moving forward. And this could result in helping price appreciation simply because the Kaspa network is always running flawlessly. And that's why people would want to use the Kaspa network, is because it's running exactly how it's intended, and running nodes help this happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you have not gotten yourself a cold storage solution to store your Kaspa offline and off exchanges, Tandrum is doing another pre-order event for the Kaspa Tandrum branded cards, and there's currently 292 that are available, and the pre-order has already started. They're going to start shipping in August, so don't expect to get these anytime this month. But if you do want a Tandrum wallet that has the Kaspa brand on the cards, you can go ahead and click the link down below in the description, and you can get 10% off if you use the code Kaspa Silver at the checkout. I do receive a commission for this, and I greatly do appreciate that, as it does help support the channel. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and as always, don't be average, be different.